Anderson, brought to you by the United States Army Reserve, and I'm Alison Steele, the Nightbird. The fantastic sound of, and I should say the long-awaited sound, of the John Anderson solo album, Olias of Sun Hillo. And I'm delighted to say that John Anderson is in the studio with me today. John, welcome to America again. Mm-hmm. It's always a great pleasure to have you here.
It's good to be here.
Who is Olias of Sun Hillo, for those who might still at this date be uninformed?
Yeah, Olias is a mythical character. There is an Olias who was a saint. I'm not quite sure what he was the saint of. I was told once, but I've forgotten. But Olias was the kind of fantasy that came about out of the artwork of Roger Dean on Fragile. I had this idea that ship that kind of hovered around was playing some little part in this idea of a story that was coming out at that time. And Olias, in a story you have to have the heroes and these kind of situations, and Olias was the guy who builds the ship to transport the 4 tribes from Sun Hillo, because of Sun Hillo being on a destruction course. And the 4 tribes have got to be taken away from the planet. Olias has 2 friends. One is Ranyort, who is the guide, and one is Kuquake, who is the singer to the people, because Kuquake is a mystic. And the 4 tribes are definitely different kinds of people, and they haven't seen of each other at all on the planet. So that when they come together, because they're brought together in a trance, they don't see each other that clearly. They just make music together, and the music that they make together brings the ship to life once they're inside the ship, and the ship takes off from Sun Hillo.
Just fascinating. Where did the inspiration come from, John, for the moor glades and the names? I mean, it's just so fascinating.
Yeah, it was crazy that having read a few books, and there's a lady in North London called Vera Stanley Alder, and she writes about life and a lot of heavy, ancient statements she comes up with, very simple books. And from these sources, you start to conjure up a kind of idea for a story. So basically, about a year ago, I made the decision as to how the story was, so that I could start really considering the music to the story, and to make sure that the music and the story were one. It was that important. And then there came the time when I felt, well, I can't write the story because I've never written stories. I don't know if I could start. I could probably start a story, but to get into the middle and to make it
pay off,
momentum happen, right, and so on. So I asked a couple of people to get together to write it, and they started writing a book, and it all got a bit lost, and I couldn't quite see what they were getting up to. And we decided, me and Jenny and the kids decided to go to Greece. And I thought, well, there's got to be something going on if I'm going to go to Greece, because here I am going to Greece, and there's got to be something coming out of it. And one morning I woke up pretty early before the sun came up, and I heard this kind of buzzing just outside the window, and I walk outside, and there's a tree full of bees, and you can hear the bays and the bells of distant lambs going up the mountainside. And it was an incredible 2-hour period. I just sat there and watched the sun slowly rise, and then I started writing, and I started writing the story.
Well, it obviously was in you, and it needed something like that to bring it out.
Really.
But you certainly are a storyteller.
Well, I'm going to start getting into them now.
Absolutely, I can see a whole line of books.
Yeah.
John Anderson. You know, John, the thing that struck me when I heard your album is the vast difference. Now, Patrick's album is a concept. That is the story of I. And the levels in the 2 stories are at such distant points. Patrick's story is realistic and sensual, and yours is totally romantic and mythical. And that, I think, more than anything else, points out the vast difference in the two men, you know, for those people who hear the music and don't really know you. Would you say that that is something to be overcome when you play together in Yes, or is that part of the success of the sound now?
Yeah.
Is it?
I think it is. It's the chemistry of different kinds of people together that make a band. And if Patrick's going from this distance, I'm going from the other distance, and the meeting is that part of Yes that is happening at the moment,
yes,
and that's why we're together. So I think we think the same. We think the same way about Yes, but obviously when we're away from Yes, we think a lot of different things.
That kind of divergent approach has not caused any problems within the structure of Yes?
No, because there's certain rules about Yes as a band that and I tend to hold the reins a little bit and say, well, okay, we can all zoom around, but we've all got to do it in this way, and everybody generally agrees that the way is right, so that's why we're together. There's always the chance that someone in the group of people might think of a different approach to something, and if the rest of the guys believe it to be the right way, then they're going to follow.
Yes.
And I generally have been the leader in that sense, that I've been a director of the music of Yes, and not been the instruments. They've been the instruments. And I've been the vocal instrument in that sense. But I've generally directed the music of the band.
John, the only complication that I can possibly imagine in contemplating these 5 phenomenally good albums is what happens in concert now. Can you play any part of Olias? Can Chris play from his album, Patrick? I mean, what happens on stage now?
Well, generally we felt there was a chance that we could get into this, where we could play individual tracks from the albums, as well as a lot of Yes music. And in fact, when we came on tour this time, we'd rehearsed some individual songs, and we tried them out the first couple of nights, but didn't feel that good about them. Mainly because the people have come to see Yes, and we are Yes when we're together, and when we're apart, we're now getting into solo projects and so on. So it made us feel that Yes was more important, and it is. That's why we can make solo albums, is because we're in a band called Yes, that is the home base for everybody. So the main thing now is to play Yes music, and very happily we're doing older tracks on tour at the moment. Heart of the Sunrise and Single Good People, and various tracks that we haven't done for a few years. And we're enjoying playing the music, we're enjoying the audience reaction to us playing Yes music more, rather than playing the new album or so on. Yes would have a new album out now, but because of the
solo project.
Now we're going to wait until Christmas for a new release of a new Yes album.
There will be one around Christmas.
Yeah, January.
Good.
Christmas, January.
Good. That's a question you just saved me from asking, because everybody's been asking me.
Yeah. We were very excited about the next album, having gone away from the home base and found out so much about ourselves in working in studios on our own and being responsible for our own records. We will feel a lot more responsibility for the next Yes album. We used to leave it generally up to Eddie Offord to finish the cut and make sure the test pressing was right and so on, but no more. I mean, we're going to make sure it's definitely good.
You're all more into it now.
Really, more so than ever before. I feel very strong interaction going on. We had a long discussion last night about where we should record the next album, and it's very important because of the way we've rehearsed songs for the next album, that the place we record has got the same amount of energy that we're going to be putting into it. So
should be exciting. John, thank you so much. It was so nice of you to visit with us, and thank you so much for giving us Olias of Sanilo. Thank you. John Anderson, and this is the Nightbird, Alison Steele.